Silver Stacking 2024, close your bank account and do this. Speechless. Let's start.
How should freedom-loving patriots like you and I fight back against this monetary scourge? Well, it will be challenging.
That is Yankee Stacking telling us central bank digital currency is already here in many ways, and it will absolutely flip our silver stacking world upside down. With a touch of a button, those in charge of our financial institutions, with a touch of a button, they'll be able to block all of these purchases that we previously made under the radar. I'm talking about buying silver bars with cash. I'm talking about buying gold coins with cash. That will be a thing of the past. Look, the price of a 100-ounce bar is similar to that of a 1-ounce gold coin. So silver stackers, this is not only an issue for people stacking gold. CBDC will come down on us harder than you think. Look at your local coin shop and think about how many transactions take place using cash. Silver stacking is a cash-heavy business. When central bank digital currency takes hold of our economy, cash will be dead, and it will be impossible to make all these purchases that we presently make with buying tubes of silver, buying bricks of silver, doing all this under the radar, using these precious metals as a way to swap out our fiat currency into a safe store of wealth. It will be a different game altogether. Presently, we're off the grid when we do this, but come CBDC, we will be forced onto the grid. When I hear this, when I hear about central bank digital currency and I hear silver stackers telling me to shut down my bank account and go all in on precious metals, it absolutely makes sense to me. Swapping our fiat currency for silver is a form of dissent. It really is just that, dissent. It is a way of telling our financial institutions, it is a way of telling our government agencies, it is a way of stepping out of the present system and telling those in control of this system that we're doing things our way. It might be subtle, or for some of us, it might be a clear middle finger. It truly might be a clear middle finger to those in charge. But stacking silver, when you're all the way in, like I am all in, and when you're all in the way many of us in this community of silver stackers are all in, then you know this is our way of going off the grid. And truly, I feel the term dissent is appropriate. Now, when we lose this ability, when it's gone, when we lose this ability to pay for silver using cash, when we're forced to perform all of these transactions using central bank digital currency, that will result in two outcomes. The first is a black market will occur. I truly believe this. I can see a black market occurring for those of us who still insist on doing things our own way. And I cannot tell you what that black market will look like. I just see that as an outcome. The other is that those of us who are forced to use central bank digital currencies will need to accept and swallow that big pill, the pill that tells us we must conform whether we like it or not.
And so what you see on this chart is you see the green line go down for the dollar and you see gold go up over the same time period. That's saying that the purchasing power of the dollar has gone down relative to gold.
That is Gold Silver Pros telling us that gold is the greatest performer when we try to increase our savings. Even during slow performing years for gold, it still outperforms the savings account you will get at your bank. So yes, stackers telling me to shut down my bank account and put my savings into gold, that makes absolute sense to me. Sure, you can find an online bank these days that will offer you 5% annual rate for savings, but you're not holding your wealth in your hands. I started this video talking about the idea of central bank digital currency controlling every one of our purchases and forcing us to conform. Just imagine all of your savings has been sitting at an online bank collecting 5% and 5% annual rate. Then central bank digital currency shows up. You will lose control of that savings. If closing down your bank account sounds dramatic, if that sounds dramatic, just look at this simple math. Look at this. Placing $10,000 into a savings account and parking it there for 20 years will yield a tiny amount of value to your savings, but $10,000 into gold for 20 years, it will multiply. 20 years ago, gold was hovering at $400 an ounce, and now we're solidly in the $2,000 range. That will not change in the next 20 years coming up. Gold may not show a ramp up and increase. It may not. It's more of a staircase, meaning its value will increase, then it will hold steady, and that value will hold for a stretch, and then it will increase again. I will take an increase in that in that situation, I'll take a staircase rather than a plateau. That's what I see savings accounts in a bank, a plateau. Now, one of the greatest complaints for swapping our fiat currency to gold is that it is seen as an unproductive asset. That term, productive, I know as silver stackers, we roll our eyes at that, but we need to really think about that. The term productive is typically used for the stock market. It's typically used for real estate. It's typically used for investing in something that, yes, it will produce, it will show profits, but gold is not an investment for us. It is not an investment. Gold is a safe store of wealth, and history shows that the value of gold will continue to follow inflation, while the value of your dollar will lose its value over time. That is exactly what inflation means.
Their buy-sell spreads are basically $1 over or near spot, and you can buy it from them at like $2 over. So you're seeing a lot smaller, and lower premiums on all that stuff.
That's the Coin Geek talking about 90% silver, junk silver, constitutional silver. The smartest move that we can make, looking at central bank digital currency heading our way, the smartest move we can make is to stack constitutional silver. I think constitutional silver offers a way for us to put our fiat currency into silver that is trusted by non-silver stackers. Constitutional silver is the only silver that can be recognized by non-silver stacking people as actual money. And it holds silver value beyond that. We forget that the rest of the world, people outside of our silver stacking community, the rest of the world, they are not familiar with all of these silver products like what I have here before the camera. They have no idea how the silver world works. They are, however, they certainly are familiar with constitutional silver. And during this shift that we'll be experiencing, this massive undertaking to rid tangible currency from our economy and replace it with central bank digital currency, we will need a familiar form of silver that everyone, not just those of us in our silver stacking community, we will need a form of silver that everyone recognizes. Good news for us. The premiums on junk silver have decreased, and now is a great time to jump in. I also, beyond premiums, in general, I love the designs of the Walking Liberty half, right? I'll always take a Walking Liberty half. So it's the type of silver that I enjoy collecting and stacking at the same time. I do recognize the irony. I do see the irony in closing a bank account to stack silver and then swapping out fiat currency for junk silver, constitutional silver, swapping it out for silver that was generated and minted by the same government that will be forcing the central bank digital currency down our throat. I do see that irony is not lost.